What's up, gamers? It's Dr. Armstein.
Oh, this is nothing.
It seems I just stepped out of line at the end of the last episode, and the network wasn't too happy about my going off script. However, I am a doctor, and that means I can afford the finest medical care in the country. Some of the best cosmetic surgeons have repaired my 5G scars, and I'm ready to bring you the newest health tip. It's my honor to be not a part of, our first viewer-voted episode. We first started this series last March, which in 2020 time feels like years ago. Our first episode was originally just supposed to be a one-off about actual health tips, but like all doctors, I had much more to say, and the checks just keep coming in. To reward you for your support, those behind the show had a forum on the show's Instagram page that allowed you, the viewer, to vote for this entry, the penultimate episode before our Season 1 finale later this year. Also, Nurse Samantha Legberg will not be returning this week. That was another bit of an executive decision. We have a bit of a scrappy-do situation on our hands, as views dropped drastically after we introduced a strong female character. I know it seems like the only thing that anybody has heard for the past couple of months is vote. Vote! 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 I'll be honest. Since this episode was supposed to come out in November, the producers and I thought that, since everybody at home voted on this subject, it would be fine to retitle the video, "Your Vote Doesn't Matter," and it would just be 5 minutes of me playing the French horn. However, we thought it would be in your best interest that we made you aware of some key information. I'll try to be brief, and then maybe, at the end, we'll get to some French horn. Since the first episode had the health tip in the beginning, and the second episode put just the tip in the end, and the third episode had no tip at all. Wait, no tip at all? But I thought the circumcision was in the second episode. Anyway, studio contracts are telling me to emphasize this health tip. Take and do everything that the doctor tells you. They're never wrong, and they always have your best interests in mind. Except for when multinational corporations pay them to lie to keep profits afloat, but you don't have anything to worry about. That's only happened a handful of times in recent history. You know, like how American experts were paid handsome kickbacks for telling everybody that cigarettes were totally fine and wholesome 100 for your health, or diet soda, or fluoride, or spanking the monkey's uncle. Or vaccines that were being made before the disease was even found in patient zero and were pushed out a year before the disease had even been around. But more on that next episode. As for this episode, the fan-voted topic was basically drugs that doctors give your kids to fuck them up. Since there are too many instances for us to narrow down, we're going to inappropriately touch upon a number of subjects that all fall under this umbrella of doctoral deceit. First, we'll take a look at ADHD. ADHD, or Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, was first coined by world-famous child psychologist and medical psychiatrist Leon Eisenberg, who, of course, was a former member of my synagogue. Funnily enough, the most well-known credits to Eisenberg's name are his involvements with autism and childhood psychotherapy. Why is this so funny, you may ask? Because months before his death, this doctor, whose Wikipedia article lists him as being the first doctor to conduct tests of stimulant drugs in children, is quoted months before his death as saying that ADHD is a prime example of a fictitious disease. Even the enlightened, educated overlords from the University of Snopes have confirmed this. Wow, Dr. Eisenberg, that's pretty sussy. Now let's move on. Now earlier, I clearly mentioned that American experts are the one that usually fudge data and manipulate the results, but let's take a look around the firmament. Sorry, Chip. Now, it just tickles my taint to mention this, but studies show that approximately 14 to 15% of American children have some type of autism spectrum disorder. Not display signs or symptoms of, but straight up, stone cold have it. That means if you have a group of 10 friends, chances are at least one of you has autism. Now, let's hop over to our peculiar cousins, the French. The French doctors report that only 0.5% of their children have been diagnosed and medicated for ADHD. Pretty big difference from 15%. I wonder why. Actually, there are a number of reasons. First, French doctors don't view ADHD as a biological condition like we do over here in the States. They view it as a social construct caused by social factors and situations. Sort of like peer pressure, except instead of the cute girl in your English class, it's television and your crackpot parents getting all of their information from a YouTuber in a lab coat. Second, studies have shown that for 64% of kids with ADHD, the cause of their condition was the diet that they ate. Now, of course, the food was mentioned to be junk food high in gluten and artificial colors. A different study showed that of this 64%, their symptoms improved or even entirely resolved after implementing dietary changes. We'll come back to doctors lying about food later. Third, as you already know, a major facet of American money and politics is big pharma, or big corporations pushing out drugs to the American people. Take Ritalin, for example. I wish somebody would. I get $1,000 for every bottle that I push. Or Adderall, which all of you lovely depressed college e-girls are always taking during finals week, and is basically a brand name for methamphetamine. Amphetamine, a chemical relative of this biker meth, is a key component in Adderall. That's why Adderall, a brain stimulant, can be addicting, especially when prescribed at such a young age. Haven't you ever wondered why the side effects of Adderall include nervousness, headaches, dry mouth, weight loss, dizziness, seizures, paranoia, or fast or irregular heartbeat? Spoiler alert, it's because the secret ingredient is meth. If you didn't know by now, I'll let you in on a secret. Medical science is an industry. Industries are built on business. They make prescriptions and vaccines, not cures. You are a customer, and businesses do not do well with one-time customers. They need you coming back week after week just to get your fix. Ha! Just kidding. The United States and other foreign-owned billionaire companies totally just care about you and want you to feel healthy. Let's talk about human fetus burgers. It's no secret that humanitarian billionaire playboy philanthropist Bill Gates has been pushing an agenda for all first world citizens to start eating bugs and their own poopy as a form of renewable fuel. I know. This just sounds like some douche frat bro trying to see what he can get away with, but I assure you, it's real. And since Americans are into humiliation porn, they've already complied with phase 1, which is plant-based meat alternatives. I know you've seen advertisements for this everywhere, from Burger King, KFC, and the combination pizza and Taco Bell. First, let me be clear. No, there is no meat in these burgers, so they can be called meatless alternatives. However, there are no plants either, which is hinted at in the technicality of the term plant-based. Essentially, the term plant-based means that the guy who made it only had to think about using plants in the process. This is all coming straight from the cow's mouth, so to speak. Despite their slogan being made from plants for the planet and your taste buds, Impossible Foods has established that no plant is actually touched in the process of making their meatless burger alternatives. If there's no meat and there's no plants, then what exactly is in these impossibly tasty treats? Why, chemicals, of course, like soy hemoglobin, which is put into the patties to create a bleeding effect when you bite into it. At least, that's what we hope makes the bleeding effect. Well, what I mean by that is, look, as much as I'd love to add some additional alliteration to the A words in the title, we don't have time to cover abortion. Maybe Chip can cover in a later episode. Wink at camera. Long story short, on August 30th, 2019, CBS's new show Down to Earth detailed a high-tech Israeli laboratory that was working in the production of cultured meat, or meat made from the stem cells of cows and chickens. Additionally, former studies have shown that cells isolated from the umbilical cord blood of humans have more MSC volume and greater plasticity than those extracted from bovine cells. This has raised some concerns due to the implication that, since human umbilical cord blood and stem cells from bone marrow, adipose tissue, the uterus, placenta, and fetal fluids are superior to cow cells for the desired function, that it may lead to aborted human fetuses being used in the manufacturing of cultured meats. So, there you have it. Thanks to all of our lovely fans who voted at home, and we look forward to never asking our user base for an episode topic again. Now, what are you waiting for? Go out and take your antidepressants, your birth controls, and your ADHD medications. And don't forget to pick up a meatless, plant-based food ration. I'll see you next time for the very first COVID-21 vaccine. Oops! Spoilers! What? You thought I was joking about the French horn? No. My great-great-great-uncle Louis Armstrong taught me to play when I was a kid.